So, dear learners, we are in the last lecture of the 12th module. We can say in the penultimate lecture of the 12-week long course. And in this lecture, I will give you the references, citations and sources from where I have taken my study materials and designed this course for you. So, I will name a few important books which are very significant in the study of folklore, folkloristics and also knowing and understanding folk. The books which I have taken, the first one is Vladimir Prop's Theory and History of Folklore and also Morphology of the Folklore. These two books are very important to understand how folk tales or folklores function. The next book which I have taken is Johann Gottfried von Herder's Voices of the Peoples in Songs. And this is a very important book, as you know, he is said to be one of the foremost person to study about folklore. I have also taken Regina Bendick's, Folklorismus and even Richard M. Dawson's Folklore and Fakelore, about which I just told you in my last lecture, right? Folklore and Fakelore. So, these are a few books I have taken and then I will be telling you about some more books. Do not worry, I have given you an extensive list of books to kind of study them and know more about folklore studies. So, I have taken Thomas Green's Folklore, an encyclopedia of beliefs, customs, tales, music and art. I have taken about the folk dance of India from Projesh Banerjee's Aesthetic of Indian Folk Dance, about the folk theatre of India from the book of Gargi Balwant published by Rupa, and also I have specially taken the book of Kapila Bhaswatsayan because we know she is a doyen of folklore studies in India. Then I have taken the book of Alan Dundee, Folklore, Critical Concepts in Literary and Cultural Studies, and also, as I said, Kapila Vatsayan's book, Traditional Indian Theatre, Multiple Streams. Next, I have again taken the book of Alan Dundee, talking about folklore matters. J.G. Fraser's The Golden Bough. Remember, J.G. Fraser's The Golden Bough is a very important book, not only in folklore studies, but understanding literature in general. And it is one of the books which is considered the basic to be studied when we ought to know about what culture is, not specifically folk culture, but also what culture is in general. Then the book by Clifford Geertz, Interpretation of Culture, one of the famous anthropologists we have, and I have taken because I have told about Bengali folk literature, two books of Saugata Chattopadhyay. One, Loko Sangskriti, Ondor Mohol Bar Mohol and Loko Sangskriti, Ajker Bhabonay. These two books have actually helped me in framing the portions of Northeast India and East India, be it the folk dances, folk performances, folk music, folk anything of folk, rituals, myths, everything what I got to know about Bengal, right. I have taken references from these books and like a few more actually. Okay. Next, I have taken the book of Shailin Ghosh, alright, The Archives in India, because I have talked extensively about archiving. Ramanujan's, A.K. Ramanujan's The Collected Essays, okay. Claude Lévi-Strauss, Structural Anthropology. Mikhail Bakhtin's book, Problem of Dostoevsky's Poetics. Edward B. Tyler's Primitive Culture, and obviously Catherine Bell's Ritual Theory, Ritual Practice and Ritual Perspectives and Dimensions. Catherine Bell's book on ritual is actually used by most scholars for understanding what ritual is and how ritual is significant in any folk culture, be it a vow, or you can say be it a process, any process. For the rites of passage even, how rituals are important. And Catherine Bell gives us, the 6 types of rituals and the significance of rituals and everything in detail. Next, just I talked about, Ashutosh Bhattacharya, right, one of the folklorists we have forgotten, and I have taken his book Banglar Lok Sahitya, Usha Chakravarti's Conditions of Bengali Women around the second half of the 19th century. Seymour Benjamin Chapman's Story and Discourse, Narrative Structure in Fiction and Film by Cornell, and even Ratnabali Chatterjee's Veiled and Unveiled, Women in Medieval Bengal, published in the Proceedings of the Indian History Congress. Also, I have taken the book of Sigmund Freud's Character and Collier, Lina M. Frozzetti's The Gift of a Virgin, and most importantly, Arnold V. Gennep's The Rites of Passage. In Arnold V. Gennep's The Rites of Passage, Gennep gives us, how rites of passage, for example, birth, death, initiation ceremonies, helps people to kind of go from one stage to another. In India, we have the threading ceremony or Upanayan, which is also a rites of passage. I have discussed this in my lectures, but yes, Arnold van Gennep was the first person to talk about the rites of passage. And why I have given you Sigmund Freud's book? To understand how the psychology of the mass works, how people are taking in folk culture and kind of, reviving it. For that, Sigmund Freud. And I have taken the most important book we have, Banglar Broto by Abanindranath Tagore, who was said to be one of the first Indians to work on what vows are and how they function. And how can we forget, Victor Turner, right, one of the prominent anthropologists we have. And also we have Shankar Sengupta's Folklore of Bengal, a projected study. Now we come to the end of our last lecture, that is the 5th lecture of the 12th module. In the whole course, in my 12-week course, I have tried, you can say I have attempted to give you the idea of how folk functions, what is folk culture, everything about folk, and also who are the folk. I think you will benefit from my course, knowing about folk literature and everything folk, and you can utilize it in your further research. Thank you and see you in my course.